I built my breezy summer routine that keeps the house running, it makes space for actual fun, and it lets you enjoy the season while it's still here so that you don't end up in September surrounded by mess and feeling worse because you realize summer happened and you weren't even living it. So let's get into my breezy summer routine. Here's the routine. It's super easy. All you need to do is these 4 things every single day. And the first is the kitchen reset. The kitchen, of course, it's the heart of the home. And in summer, it's less casseroles and it's more sandwiches, salads, watermelon, and peaches. And what I focus on the most is just getting the dishes done. If you are staying on top of the dishes, this is the most important thing. So if you can get them in the dishwasher or washed by hand, as soon as you have used them, you are winning. But even if it's just in the morning or at the end of the day, it's all good. Then do a quick scrub of the sink so that the sink doesn't get up and walk away. Wipe down the counters when you're done. And then the kitchen is just better and more manageable. Because in my house, later in the summer, I actually start doing more canning and some preserving. And I have like elephant volumes of food just like piled up everywhere. And the mess, it can get out of control so fast. So this rule is really helpful because it can keep the house reset, easier to clean, easier to start. And just remember that the kitchen, it sets the tone for the entire house. A kitchen that is clean, it makes everything feel more manageable. It makes it feel easier to get out and do things. It makes it easier to go into the garden or even just to get to work. I mean, sometimes it's hard to sleep because of the heat. You don't need to be fighting your kitchen. So a disaster kitchen, it makes you start thinking about moving in the dead of the night. But just doing the simple things of managing the dishes, keeping the sink clean, wiping the counter, you will feel so much better. And if you feel like doing something else, by all means, be my guest. But the point of these steps is just to keep the fundamentals taken care of so that you can focus on living and loving life. Okay, before we go on, I skipped one very important thing that is not cleaning related, but it is so important for every routine. I am going to put on my sunglasses because it's very bright out here. Every good system needs a foundation, something that stays consistent no matter what the season throws at you. Now, for me, that anchor is the same year round. I have my tea, I have my journal, I have my Bible, and my breakfast. I do all of that. And then I start work at 10 a.m. Now, maybe you work out of the house, so you would do that sooner, and that works perfectly fine because then I end up working later in the day. And it might even sound really simple, overly simple, and it is. But the simple is exactly the point. A consistent morning routine is, in summer, it's like a seatbelt. You don't think about it until everything starts moving fast, and you're very glad that it's there. Because in summer, everything around that anchor, it gets looser, the days get longer, the schedule shifts, kids are home more, or grandkids, or whatever, social commitments multiply, spontaneous things happen, which is exactly why we need these routines, because the routines otherwise will dissolve without anyone noticing. So you want that little anchor. The anchor stays the same year round, which is awesome. I will be doing the exact same thing. Like even on like Christmas Day, I'm pretty much going to be doing this. It's either very disciplined or very boring, depending on who you ask. But I can do this whether I'm at home, in my living room, in my backyard, or in Antarctica. You finish your morning routine, then you are grounded, you're clear, and then you're ready for another maintenance tip. Second, we want to do a quick vacuum of the main living areas. Now, not every room, not even a deep clean, just the spaces where people actually spend time. So I definitely prioritize the kitchen, of course, because it is like a crumb factory in there. I literally will just grab my vacuum and I just go whoop around the island, through here, loop to the front door, and then back to the kitchen. 5 minutes at the most. Done. We don't want to be deep cleaning all of the time because deep cleaning in the summer is like wearing a wool sweater to the beach. Technically it's possible, but it is completely unnecessary. And nobody is asking for this. Save it for the off season. Maybe once a week you might hit the stairs or the bedrooms. And of course, there will be days where you're exhausted from the beach and the sun. Maybe you have a day off of work, or maybe just a rainy day and you just want to be inside. This is a great opportunity to do a quick floor wash or something. Some things so that things don't end up too grimy by the end of the summer. But hey, if that doesn't happen, no harm, no foul, no biggie. You might just be scrubbing the floor on Labor Day or in October. Easy solution. Before I get to the next step, I do need to give you a cautious tale. So when I was a kid, one summer, my parents decided that we were going to go to the lake every single day, which sounds like an absolute dream, right? But we actually hated it. It's not because the lake was bad. It was actually fun for the first week. But what we hated is that it was mandatory. It was every day without exception. And honestly, I mean, I don't blame them because we just wanted to be home. We were kids. We didn't understand yet what our parents were actually doing. But what they were doing is getting us out of the house because we had just chilled all day. They were making sure we used the summer. They were making sure that when September came, we had lived those months instead of letting them pass by. And I am the type of person who is absolutely thrilled when plans are canceled. I call it the gift of time, and I will just be so happy to just chill and watch a little bit of Doc Martin on TV. But if we're not careful, we're going to miss out. My parents knew that they had to push us out the door. And summer is too good to waste on the couch, even if you are watching that gorgeous Port Wine Doc Martin scenery. Okay, done with the lecture. So the third step is the evening tidy. Now, often summer, it can come with some extra towels, some extra supplies, maybe gardening supplies that have been mated inside, even house guests that come with extra stuff. So by doing a quick pickup every evening, you're keeping on top of the mess. Everything goes back where it belongs before the day ends. Blankets, shoes, cups, bags, whatever accumulated throughout the day. 10 minutes at the end of the evening and the house resets itself. You wake up to a clean slate instead of yesterday's chaos. Stay tuned for the fourth tip, but I do need to add this very important piece here. And I did mention we need to take advantage of summer, and this is the part that doesn't often make it onto most people's summer plans because scheduling, it feels absolutely frivolous, but we actually need to schedule some fun stuff because if we're waiting for things to just happen spontaneously or naturally, it's just not going to happen. Work is going to expand to fill the time. Obligation will definitely expand to fill the time, and your mental list will keep growing. So what we want to do is just make a few things that are going to be fun onto the calendar, maybe one per week or even every 2 weeks. The farmer's market, take the kids to the beach, or a long lunch with your friend that you keep rescheduling. Maybe a day trip you've been talking about for 2 summers in a row. Or at the end of a work day, do just an evening walk that has nothing to do with fitness and just everything to do with being outside and connecting with people. So I beg of you, just put it on the calendar the same way you would with a work meeting because your summer matters just as much as your work does. Now, before I get to decluttering, because that's an important part too, here is the fourth step that we need, and it starts with one question. Do we each have clean underwear? Now, if the answer is no, you're going to want to go ahead and throw in a load of laundry. Laundry needs to be given just 2 seconds of thought before you move on to the garden or going to work or eating some more peaches. If you let laundry pile up, you will hate yourself, and we don't want that. Now, if the underwear question is positive and you do all have clean underwear, you might want to check on anything else. Maybe it's towels from swimming, or maybe it's sundresses. Just make sure that you don't fall too far behind. And it's okay if it all just lives in a laundry basket and at the end of the summer, you just start getting back into your folding and putting away routine, because we all know that I hate folding. Anyway, you don't have to do it every day. Just stay on top of it. Give it 2 seconds of thoughts. The house stays functional, nobody is living in chaos, and you haven't spent your summer cleaning. If something needs attention other than those 4 things that I said, it gets scheduled. It doesn't need to be done at the expense of a summer evening. Sometimes you're just gonna have like a great rainy day that allows you to do that. The weekly declutter. One space. just one. Now here's where I want to talk about the bigger picture, because most of us, we go into summer with at least one area of the house that has been bothering us. And we say that this is the year I'm going to tackle the garage, the spare room, the kitchen cabinets, the closet that you've been avoiding since 2017. I remember I did this one year. It was probably 2011 or something. I was decluttering kids' toys because, you know, I was all about decluttering other people's stuff before I got myself together. I had toys scattered all around me, and there was a grandma babysitting the kids, and I had the TV on, and I was watching Degrassi Junior High as I attempted to organize the toys. Summer, it just feels like the time where you can finally deal with things, and it can be, but just not the way that most people approach it. The mistake a lot of us make is we're trying to tackle the whole thing at once. So you block off a full Saturday, you pull everything out, probably the garage or something. You get completely overwhelmed. It's hot, you get annoyed, so you either put it all back or you leave it in worse shape than the way you found it. Pretty much my toy Degrassi marathon session. And then you feel guilty about it for the rest of the summer because you never go back to it even though it's weighing on your mind. So instead, here's what I say. Just spend one committed hour per week. Not the full room all at once, just one little space, one drawer, a shelf, a cabinet, a corner, something specific enough that you can actually finish it. And just focus on making some progress. And when you're ready to move on, you can go ahead and pick another spot. You can keep it simple. And then you have decluttered your space. We do need to quickly talk about the guilt piece. I just want to go head first into it because it shows up for so many women that I talk to about summer, and I literally am the worst. And I beat myself up about missing summer pieces every single year. I literally felt guilty as I was writing the script, which is just so meta. But here's the deal. As structure loosens, the days get busier in a different way. And somewhere around mid-July, end of July, the realization hits that things that you have planned to do, they haven't happened yet. The decluttering project is untouched. The fun things keep getting pushed. The routine has sneakily dissolved, and guilt moves in like it owns the place. And you know what I say about perfectionism? I think it's of the devil. Well, I think guilt and perfectionism are best friends, and they're both from the devil. Just do these 4 steps that I have laid out. Have some fun, eat some watermelon, and hopefully your house will end up in one piece. You've decluttered one space. You're just a tiny bit ahead. And if you're like, I still just don't know where or how to declutter, check out this video here. I'm gonna walk you right through my mighty method. I hope something great happens for you today. Please like, subscribe, give us a hype. Stay tidy and mighty. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.